This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Dunn and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And this birthday boy is one of the most controversial goalies when he played. He was basically the reincarnation of Billy Smith. He would have an injury-shortened career with many teams. But this guy basically takes the cake. He is Ron Hextall. He's the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is weird because, he's a Philadelphia legend. He played for the Flyers, Nordiques, and Islanders in his 13-year career. He was GM of the Flyers for 4.5 years. And he was assistant GM for the Kings when he won the Cup in 2012. Hextall would play 11 of his 13 seasons with the Flyers in 2 stints. He holds a lot of team records, which is saying a lot. It would be a legend. His rookie season would be huge because he was the Vezina Trophy winner for league's top goalie and helped the Flyers get to within 1 game of winning the Stanley Cup. Despite the Flyers losing to the Oilers in Game 7, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoffs MVP, making him only one of 5 players to win the trophy in a losing effort. Now let's see. There was Hextall, Roger Crozier in 1966, Glenn Hall in 1968, Reggie Leach in 1976, and J.A. Shiger 2003. Basically, he had a lot of injuries. He was traded 3 straight time off seasons and all that. Once he came back to the Flyers, he actually did pretty well for himself and retired at the end of the 1999 season. He was the first goalie to score a goal by shooting a puck into an opposing team's net in the regular season and the playoffs. All that. He was mobile. He would come out of his goal area to play the puck was revolutionary, such helping people like Martin Brodeur. Unfortunately, he was suspended for 6 or more games on 3 occasions, had 100 penalty minutes in each of his first 3 seasons, and, all that. Hextall was born in Brandon, Manitoba, the 3rd child of Brian Hextall. Brian Hextall Jr. would play in the NHL for 10 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hextall's grandfather, Brian Sr., was the hero for the 1940 New York Rangers when they won the Cup, all that. Hextall did not like the Flyers because his father and uncle would get roughed up often by the Flyers, all that. So basically, he decided to play as a goalie, despite the fact that his father and grandfather played as forwards and all that. In junior hockey, he would play for the Brandon Wheat Kings, who were decent and all that. The Flyers decided to pick him in the 6th round of the 82 NHL draft because they scouted him and all that. He arrived at training camp in 1984 hoping to be in the NHL. Sadly, though, the Flyers would send him to the IHL team, Kalamazoo, and all that. He did okay, and then he got up to the AHL franchise. In 86, he was the Philly AHL team's Hershey Bears #1 goaltender and all that. Basically, he was pretty good for all of that. He was a long shot at the Flyers training camp to be part of the 86-87 season and all that. However, his play in the exhibition games meant Keenan decided to give him the opening game of the 86-87 season, consequently against the Oilers. Hextall would give up a goal on his first shot, but the Flyers would still win 2-1. So yeah, he had nature and all that. He was in a fight a couple months into his career with a brawl with the Devils and their goalie, Ellen Chevrier. He won 37 games as a rookie with his goals against a 3.00. Weird as it sounds, he won the Vezina, but he ended up 2nd in the Calder Trophy, losing to Luc Robitaille. Hextall led the Flyers to be the best team in their conference and all that. The Flyers had a little bit of a headache with the New York Islanders in the second round of the playoffs. But other than that, they easily went on to the Stanley Cup finals and all that. What's funny about the series against the Habs in the 87 conference final is that there was a major brawl, and the Flyers' backup goalie, Chico Resch, was involved in the brawl and all that, and got thrown out. Basically, Mike Keaton had to throw Ron Hextall into an equipment room and lock the door, saying that if you go out there, I have no goalies left. And all that. But anyway, unfortunately, Ron Hextall would be famous in the 87 finals for all the wrong reasons. In Game 4 of the finals, he basically got in trouble for slashing Kent Nielsen. After Glenn Anderson had tapped his pad to get the puck and all that, Hextall decided to go after the first Oiler he saw, which was sadly Kent Nielsen. Glenn Anderson slashed him, and then basically struck the back of Nielsen's knees. Hextall did express remorse for striking the wrong player, but not for his action. Sadly, though, that would have an effect on Nielsen as he went to Sweden to play hockey again after the 87 season. But Hextall helped the Flyers come back from 3-1 down to force a Game 7. Sadly, though, they lost Game 7, despite the fact that, he got the Conn Smythe Trophy. That was amazing and all that. However, Hextall would get booted for 8 games for his slash on Nielsen. Hextall would actually come back from a suspension in a decent position. And in December of 87, he would actually score a goal on the empty net on purpose against the Boston Bruins at the Spectrum, which was amazing and all that. Hextall was the first goalie to score a true goal, as Billy Smith was given a goal. No, was it Billy Smith? Yeah, in 1979 against the Colorado Rockies, a.k.a. the New Jersey Devils. Basically, that the Colorado's Rob Ramage put the puck into his own net, and Smith was the last guy to touch it. All that. Hextall was pretty good in all that. Unfortunately, Hextall didn't do so well in the playoffs, losing Game 7 against the Washington Capitals in the first round on a key Dale Hunter overtime goal. But Hextall kept getting a lot of penalty minutes and all that. He helped the Flyers do well. The Flyers looked bad and all that. But Ron Hextall did score a goal in the empty net against the Capitals. Flyers went on the series in 6 games. After a tough Patrick Division final against the Penguins, they would take on the Montreal Canadiens. However, Hextall had a sprain of his MCL in his right knee, so that meant he couldn't play in the first few games of the conference finals against the Habs. Ken Reggett would be in net for that. The Habs took a 2-1 series lead without him. Unfortunately, Game 6 would be another a sore spot for Hextall, as the Habs were aiming to get to the Stanley Cup Finals and would face the Flames. However, somehow he decided to attack Chris Chelios in the final minutes of Game 6. It was basically a retaliation for Chelios' hit on Brian Propp in Game 1, when Chelios basically took Brian Propp out of the conference finals with a hit to the side of the head. Hextall, unfortunately, was suspended for 12 games because of his action. So basically, as a repeat offender, I think he got more games. Hextall was not happy about his 8-year contract, only giving him $325,000 a year. He would not take part in the training camp. Well, he would return to the team to practice 42 days later. And of course, he was suspended too. Unfortunately, injuries would really hurt him and all that. He would only play 9 times in the NHL that year, in the 89-90 season. In 91, he just had problems, 36. And he only won 13 games. Not Ron Hextall-like, all that. Hextall would get suspended for 6 games for slashing Detroit's Jim Cummins during a preseason game. And he was trouble, and he had trouble of injuries. Hextall was injury prone, but another team took a chance on him, the Quebec Nordiques, mostly because Hextall didn't really have much of a choice. As we all know about the Eric Lindros trade from Philly, Quebec to Philly, he was part of that trade. Lindros did not want to play for Quebec. But anyway, Hextall was one of the key pieces the Flyers sent to the Nordiques to get Lindros' rights and all that. He didn't want to move to the French-speaking area of Quebec. But Hextall was traded to Quebec with 5 other players, including Peter Forsberg, 2 first-round picks, and $15 million. Basically, Hextall somehow, in some way, had a lot of confidence, and he did okay for Quebec. Led them to second place in the division and a chance to knock off Montreal in the first round. Hextall's big playoff nemesis. Unfortunately, despite Hextall's great performances, Quebec lost in 6 games in the first round, but he still was good. But after only 1 season with Quebec, they decided to trade him. The Nordiques decided to trade him to the New York Islanders for Mark Fitzpatrick. The move was made because the Nordiques could only protect 1 goalie from the expansion draft, and they didn't want to lose him for nothing, like to Florida or Anaheim. So basically, they decided to trade him to Long Island, and they wanted to keep Vesey. The 2 moves the team picked had first-round picks and all that. Hextall was not really that good and all that. Basically, the Islanders fans were not too happy. However, the other players like Steve Thomas decided to back him up and say all that. And Al Arbor, who was still coaching the Islanders at that time, said that basically the fact that he would love to give Hextall some games off, but the Islanders in net were not really that good. Tom Draper, his backup, wasn't really that good. And basically, the IHL team didn't help. The minor league team didn't help the Islanders and all that. However, Hextall was happy that Jamie McLennan was brought up by the Islanders from the farm club. Basically, it got him to recover his form. And he basically put up a great performance in the regular season. However, the postseason was a different story. The Islanders got swept by the Rangers in the first round, and he conceded 16 goals for a goals against of 6.08. Don Maloney, who was the Islanders GM, basically decided to give Hextall a bit of a break and trade him back to Philadelphia because it would try to help Jamie McLennan be the #1 goaltender. Hextall would be traded to the Flyers for Tommy Soderstrom in September of 1994. McLennan would not be the star goalie that we all know and love. And Hextall did okay for the Flyers in his return to Philadelphia. I think basically he got his confidence back. Hextall led the Flyers to the conference finals, but the Devils got them in 6 games. Hextall did pretty well in the playoffs. And would basically, he wouldn't be traded during the offseason, first time in 4 seasons. Hextall did much better and all that. Hextall went to the 97 Stanley Cup Finals with the Flyers. Basically, throughout the season in the playoffs, the uncertainty in the crease had Hextall and Garth Snow swapping places regularly and all that. Hextall would be the goalie who got pretzeled by Darren McCurdy in Game 4 of the 97 Finals. He still did okay and all that. So Hextall did okay in his later seasons and all that. Ron Hextall was the backup to Grant Fuhr during the 87 Canada Cup. He would not have an international career, but he's known for helping Martin Berdeur's mobile style. His management career, he was GM a couple times, and he's now the Penguins GM. He married a former figure skater and had 4 kids, Kristen, Brett, Rebecca, and Jeffrey. Bright was actually drafted by the Coyotes as a 6th-round pick. Right? But if he had made it to the NHL, he would have been the second 4th-generation player in NHL history after Blake Geoffrion. So he was named best rookie in the AHL in '86. He won the Vezina Conn Smythe in his first year in '87. He was an icon. Most penalty minutes by goalie in a single season, 113. That's an NHL record. 1988-89. He has the Flyers record for games, regular season wins, playoff wins, points by a goaltender, and penalty minutes by a goaltender. His final stats in the NHL, 296 wins in 608 games. So he almost got 300 wins. He got 23 shutouts. In the playoffs, he was 47-43. Not too bad. Could have been worse. Could have been worse long ago. Ron Hextall is still a goon in my mind. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.